this is an example safety label. First of all, this was the worst app in the batch that we did, but it's a good example of kind of the data that we collect. So the safety label has 3 sections. There's this header section at the top, which just gives you kind of like the overall, like, whoa, stay away from this one. And then there's a summary section. And this one is like, if you want to know a little bit more about what the high level risks are, wow, 149 companies, yikes. Data broker domains, 24 data broker domains. Whoa, I sure do not want my children using that. So this gives you kind of a breakdown of the key risks. And then we get into details, and this goes on and on and on. I've got just like one example here, but this list goes on and on and on. And it's showing you every single subdomain that received a little bit of information from the app. So you can think about these. Another way to think about these for anybody who's like enforcing GDPR or anything, these are data processors, whether they are claimed as data processors or not. They absolutely are, because they are communicating with the app. So our labels are really intended. We know that they're a little bit like too much. We do understand this, and we're working to try to make them more usable. But right now, we're really trying to drive them as evidence for enforcement and litigation. So like, for example, this app was found in an elementary school. That's for little kids well under the age of 13. But there were also behavioral ads and data brokers, which would flag this in the US as a COPPA violation. So we're trying to kind of paint a clear picture for regulatory enforcers on like, hello, here's one. We also are trying to provide information for data-driven policymaking. And there is this category average information, which I think is really powerful because it takes this category, in this case, it's ed tech, but it's actually community engagement platforms as a subset of ed tech. And it's telling you what the norms are for that category average. This is vital for us to make sense of what's reasonable, like what is that reasonable safety? What's reasonable and what's unreasonable? Is it reasonable that 75% of the apps in this category are in some way tracking location? We also hope that our information is used by the manufacturers, the software developers, and anybody doing vendor management, because they can take a look at this and figure out what the risks are. And then finally, but not least, I think it's really, the details are probably like, whoa, I did not want that much information. But this stuff on the summary section and the header is really where we are trying to optimize that for everyday people to be able to quickly identify the risks.